That's pretty good. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to deal with only sine today. So here's my angle. Remember, sine is opposite the opposite side over the hypotenuse side. So sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. And now we're actually going to use it to solve stuff, okay? So eventually we're going to do, so where you see that sine, cosine, and tangent is used to solve real life problems a lot. Okay, so right now we're just going to use it with right triangles. It's always with right triangles, but you'll see how people use it a lot to solve stuff in real life. Okay, so it says find the size of x, round to the nearest tenth. Remember, tenth is 1 decimal place. And note, all diagrams are not to scale, okay? So, of course, the pictures are not to scale. So I've got a 34-degree angle. That's the angle we're looking at, right? This angle, right? It's marked it for us here. So I want to know sine. So here's my opposite side. And here's my hypotenuse, right? So what I'm going to write is I'm going to write sine of 34, because that's my angle, equals x over 1.6. Okay? Questions so far? And I'm going to make 2 fractions by putting that over a 1. So I have a fraction equaling a fraction, right? And we've done this before, correct? A fraction equaling a fraction. How do I solve that? Cross multiply. So I cross multiply, right? So I get x equals 1.6 times the sine of 34. Now the question is, how the heck do I know what the sine of 34 is, right? So I'm going to stop sharing there for a second. And I'm going to start sharing, start. Here, Annie. Can I use this pencil? Here. And I'm going to start sharing Desmos. You guys will need a calculator. So I'm going to kind of go back and forth between Desmos and the problem. So I hope you guys have the problem written down, okay? So the first thing we have to do in Desmos, if you have a calculator, you don't really have to worry about this. Jasmine A. Marie. Okay, if you have a regular calculator, you don't have to, well, you do have to worry about this a little bit, but its default is degrees and not radians. So if you look at the top of your calculator, make sure it says DEG. Even on your phone, it should say DEG somewhere instead of RAD, okay? If you're in your app, your Desmos app on your phone, you still have to do what I'm doing here. Okay, you're going to go to your settings, which is this little, see this little wrench looking thing up in the top corner. And notice how it says radians is highlighted. If you keep it in radians, you will get all the wrong answers. We need to be in degrees, yes. So Desmos defaults to radians. So if we're dealing with trig functions, we always want to change it to degrees. Does that make sense? So any calculator you're in, most of the time, the default is degrees, but sometimes it's radians. So you want to make sure you're in degrees. Okay? So then what we're going to do, now that I'm in degrees, see, I can go back there, in degrees. Huh?
You said it's supposed to say DED?
DEG.
DEG.
It should just say it somewhere on the bottom, just in a little teeny screen at the bottom. Let me see. So let me go look here for a second. Guys, let me go help. See, it says RAD right there? Mm-hmm. Now it says DEG.
Oh.
Now up here it says RAD, and you want it in, you want it blank, yeah.
Okay.
Okay? So you want it blank. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Each phone is different, so you just got to kind of play with it until you get the right answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do in radians, in degrees to get it at, oh my gosh, in Desmos, there we go, to get my answer. And I know that my problem was x equals 1.6 times sine of 34. So I'm going to do 1.6 first, and then times, right? And to get to my trig functions, in your phone, sometimes you have to put the number first and then hit the trig function. It depends on which, like if you have an Apple, you actually have to hit the number and then, so if I have a Apple phone, I probably would do this 34 sine and then times 1.6. Okay, so you'll get the right answer. But if you have, I don't know how the Android phones work. Okay, that's why I just use Desmos, because I know how that calculator works. Does that make sense? Okay, so in Desmos, I'm going to go to functions, the function button, and then it says trig. See trig here? And sine, cosine, tangent. So I'm going to do sine of 34, and it gives me an answer of 8.94. So 8.9 is my answer. So now I'm going to go back and, oh, you know what? I may be able to do both my calculator and, let me see if I can set this up, you guys, so I can get them both up here on the screen at the same time. So this one I want here. This one I want here. Oh. And then I want to share screen one.
Figure it out on this one.
Okay, so I'm going to share like that. Beautiful. Look at that. I figured out how to share it so I don't have to keep going back and forth, but I'm just going to make this bigger so we can see it here.
Would it be 0.894?
It'd be 0.89. So we're going to round it. It says round to the nearest, right here, round to the nearest tenth. So it's 1 decimal place. So x is going to be approximately equal to, right? So because I'm rounding, I'm using the wavy equal signs, right? So it's approximately equal to 8.9. So I'm going to tell you we're still rounding, but in Canvas, it doesn't give me the choice to do the wavy equal signs. So it just says equal, so sorry.
Aren't you supposed to multiply by 1.6?
I did multiply by 1.6. Oh, I multiplied by 16. Woo!
Yeah, 'cause I
Good
got
job,
1.6.
1.6.
So when I multiply 1.6 first with sine.
Oh, yeah, so this is a good point also. So remember, if I look at my triangle, my hypotenuse is 1.6. So it's got to be smaller than 1.6, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so good job. So let me erase this. So my calculator was not quite right. So it'd be the nearest tenth would be 0.9. Thank you. And that's all we're going to do. That's pretty easy, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next one. We're going to do the same thing. Here's my angle, right? And across is opposite. And so here's my opposite. Here is my right angle. So across from there is my hypotenuse. And I can label label my triangles, right? I can label them every single time. And then I'm going to do sine of 14 equals x over 0.8. Okay? Cross multiply. And I get x equals 0.8 times sine of 14. So x is approximately equal to, so now this time we're going to put it into Desmos. And I say 0.8 times my function, which is sine of 14. So this should be 0.2. Questions? I can't make the calculator any bigger, sorry. I can make this one a little bit bigger.
So probably just try to.
Okay.
There's one question on the canvas one that's where you have to find the hypotenuse?
Yes, honey, there's more than one question on the canvas where you have to find the hypotenuse. We're getting there.
I thought we were doing it on the side.
No. We're getting there. Okay. Okay, you guys ready for the next one? Okay. So, here we're still trying to find a leg and not the hypotenuse, which is okay. Sorry, I'm trying to make it fit on here, so I'm trying to make it as big as possible and still have room to write so you guys can see it. So the kids in class can see it and you guys at home can see it. So here's my angle, right? So I'm going to first label my opposite. So I have my opposite and I have my hypotenuse, okay? So I have sine of 8 degrees equals, say it's opposite over hypotenuse, right? X over 5.4. So again, I'm going to cross multiply. Is there any questions so far? My Zoomers, do you guys have any questions? What, that I'm calling them my Zoomers? Times sine of 8. So x is approximately going to be equal to, I'm going to get my calculator out and I'm going to say what? 5.4? 5.4 times sine of 8 is going to be 0.8. Questions? Marie, wake up, please. Sorry, it's really teeny. It looks big on my iPad, but then when I look at the screen, it looks really teeny. So I hope you guys can see. I'm like looking at it, I'm like, okay. See, it looks big on my screen. Look, see? And I look up there, I'm like, wow, it's really teeny.
So tiny.
Sorry. Okay, so now I think we're switching problems now. Now I'm missing my hypotenuse. So I'm going to put this one down here and right above here. So if I look here, right, my x becomes my hypotenuse. It's still a little different. Here's my angle, they've told me. Here's my side opposite. So I'm still doing sine, right? This whole lesson is sine, so we're only using sine, okay? So I've got sine, I'm going to try and write a little bigger. Sine of 58 is going to equal 0.9 over x, okay? I'm still cross multiplying, right? So I'm still going to multiply here and here. So this time I've got x times sine of 58 equals 0.9, but this time my x isn't alone. So how do I get x by itself? How do I undo multiplication? Divide. What am I dividing by? Sine of? 58. Yeah, sine of 58. So I'm going to divide by sine of 58. So x is approximately going to be equal to whatever 9 divided by sine of 58 is. So this time, it's just a little different. If I'm looking for the side, I'm multiplying. If I'm looking for the leg. If I'm looking for the hypotenuse, I'm going to divide. Yep. So it's going to be 0.9 divided by sine of 58. 58. So this time it's 1.1. Questions, everybody at home? Is it okay?
Divide by sine.
Okay, I have 2 more problems, I think, before I'm going to let you guys try and do a few on your own. so here we go. Big, okay. So my angle is 66, so here's my side opposite of my angle. Here's my right angle, and it's shooting an arrow towards my hypotenuse. Okay, so I've got sine of 66 equals 3.4 over x. And this is over 1. And I'm going to cross multiply. So I get x sine of 66 equals 3.4. And to get x by itself, I'm going to divide by the sine of 66. So x is approximately going to be equal to, let's see, what does that say? 3.4? 3.4 divided by sine of 66. 3.7. Questions? Not too bad so far?
No.
Awesome. Nope. Okay. So last one I'm going to do, and then you guys, he's like, nope. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So here's my angle at 75 degrees. Go across the middle, and that gives me my opposite side, right? And then my right angle points towards my hypotenuse. So I get sine of 75 equals 3.9 over x. Cross multiply. And I've got x sine of 75 equals 3.9. Divide by sine of 75. And x is approximately going to be equal to, let's see, what is it? 3.9 divided by sine of 75. 4.03. I'm going to put 4.03, although it should probably just be 4.0. But there we go. Questions? Awesome. So now you guys have, 8 problems. Okay? So 8 problems. See if you can do it on your own before we hit the homework. So I'm going to do, should we do 2 problems at a time since that's all I can fit on the board? So let's do A through D. Wow. So I've got, on letter A, I've got, here's my opposite hypotenuse. So I've got sine of 34 equals x over 4.9, it looks like. So it's over 1, cross multiply. I've got x equals 4.9 sine of 34. So x is approximately equal to 2.7. Did you get it right, Kentlin?
I got 2.7.
Awesome.
Well, I added the 4 on it, but I still right though.
So here's my angle. Here's my side opposite. Here's my hypotenuse. So I've got sine of 58.
Equals 5x.
X over 5. It's always a fraction, Ketlin, remember? Okay, so x is going to equal 5 times sine of 58. So x is approximately equal to 4.2.
Got it.
Okay. C, here's my angle. Here's my side opposite. Here's my hypotenuse. So I've got sine of 11 is going to equal 2.4 over x. cross multiply. And I've got x sine of 11 equals 2.4. So my x isn't by itself yet, so I have to divide by sine of 11. So x is approximately going to be equal to 12.6. And then the last one, here's my angle. Side opposite. Hypotenuse. So sine of 70 equals 6.6 over x. Cross multiply, I get x sine of 70 equals 6.6. Divide by the sine of 70. So x is approximately equal to 7.0. Questions?
Nope.
Zoomers, questions? Are we doing okay at home? Okay. So problem number E, but let's see. Here's my side opposite. Here's my hypotenuse. So I have sine of 43 is going to equal x over 7.8. So x is going to equal 7.8 times sine of 43. So x is approximately equal to 5.3. And then we've got F. Here's my side opposite. And my hypotenuse. So I've got, what do I have? Sine of 29 equals x over 4.7. Cross multiply. X equals 4.7 sine of 28. So x is approximately equal to 2.3. Awesome. Any questions so far?
No, I got it right.
Awesome. Okay, here's my side opposite and my hypotenuse. So I've got sine of 6 equals 4.9 over x. Cross multiply, that gives me x sine of 6 equals 4.9. Divide by the sine of 6. And x is going to be approximately equal to 46.9. It's on your notes in case you don't know. Here's the side opposite. Here's the hypotenuse. So sine of 28 equals 4.5 over x. So x sine of 28 equals 4.5. Divide by the sine of 28. X is approximately going to be equal to 9.6. Okay, questions? You guys haven't asked any questions all day, so I'm assuming you don't have any now. Okay. So you have 10 questions